Okay, today we're gonna have a look at the GM-6900B-4JF, the black and red metal covered G-Shock brand new watch. First, I'm gonna talk about things that matters the most. The size. So at the table over here, in comparison to the DW and also to the GDX6900 model, and to conclude, this watch belongs somewhere at the center, closer to the DW6900, nowhere near the GDX6900. Okay, with that said, this watch is a bit longer, a bit thicker, but the width of the watch is slimmer than the DW6900, and that gave the appearance of the watch to look a bit smaller. But since it uses metal parts, it is a lot heavier. So those dimensions out of the way, let's move on to the variants. So far there's only 3 color variants: silver, gold, and black bezel. Out of all 3, I have to say the black and red is the best out of the bunch, and here's why. The gold one and the silver one has a lot of gloss finishing, except the silver because it has some hairline finish on top, but the watch band on those 2 models came in matte finish resin material, and in my opinion that kills the overall glossy look of it and make it unbalanced. And that is why this one is better, because the whole thing is fully gloss finish, including the watch band. Number 2, because of their bright colorway, I have a feeling they will look much bigger than they actually is in comparison to this black one, because it is so dark that it didn't appear as big, especially when you wear it on your wrist. Let me wear it right quick and show you how it looks like. So the price for this watch also lies somewhere in the middle in comparison to the silver and gold. The gold one is much more expensive. Depending on where you buy the watch, of course the price will differ significantly, but I bought this directly from Japan for the JDM version using buyee.jp, which is the sponsor for today's video. They are a proxy shopping service website based in Japan, so if you're looking to get one of these, if you are, use the link down in the description box and earn 1000 yen discount on your first orders. Alright, here is how the watch looks like for my 15cm circumference wrist. The fit is incredibly great. The width helps makes the watch feels much more premium, and because it is in black colorway, it didn't appear as flashy as the other 2 color variants, and that makes the watch look so damn good. I'm sure you guys are fully aware by now, I'm not a big fan of the 6900 family, but this one I have to give an exception. The overall size, the shape, it really balanced the whole thing, unlike the one on the GM-5600 model, because I mean it is a square model, it is a classic, but the metal bezel on it makes the watch a bit out of proportions. I like the one on here, which looks totally balanced, and that is a good thing to be worn on your wrist. Okay, those are all the basic things. Now let's move on to the most important part on this watch. That is the metal bezel on the outside, the most obvious. Okay, what's so good about this metal bezel? Can you just, you know, buy a third-party metal and slap it on a DW1600 and call it GM1600? Actually no, you cannot just do that, because they are much more than what meets the eye. Okay, first and foremost, the metal bezel on this G-Shock watch has to undergo 20 different forging process to make sure that it looks exactly like the DW6900 in terms of shape, and that is incredibly hard to do, and thus the a bit more increase in price. So if you could accept that, then go on right ahead. If you cannot accept that, then just don't buy the watch. Okay, this is not for everyone, totally understand that. Number 2, the casing of the watch. Instead of just using resin like the DW1600, this model uses different material. It uses glass fiber reinforced resin, making it times tougher, times more expensive at the same time as well. So those are 2 things that we cannot just do on a DW6900. Next is the new case design. As we all know, metal didn't absorb shocks as good as resin, and to combat that problem, Casio need to raise down the case, and with that said, they add bumps and projections on the sides to make sure that it minimizes the contact point each time you drop the watch or it receives any form of shocks. And technically they are creating a hollow structure similar to those used on the DW5000 square model, if I'm not mistaken, in this model, and that really makes this watch special. Now let's move on to a least important point, but still a pretty good things to have. First is the buttons. The front buttons are made out of metal instead of resin covered with metal, and that is a good thing. It is tougher now. IP plates to black, matching with the whole bezel. The buttons on the sides are now made out of metal as well, and they are bigger in size. The size really makes the whole thing's difference, because now we could easily use the watch on our wrist without needing to use our fingernail anymore, which is really annoying thing to do. You have to admit that. Now the problem is solved. The watch are easier to use, similar experience as you're using the GDX-6900, except the watch is smaller. Speaking of the functions, let's have a quick rundown. You'll have your day, date and time, and a lot of graphics animations up on top like the normal models. Pressing the front metal button could turn on the electro-luminescence for a maximum of 20 seconds. As long as you keep holding it, it will keep lighting on. And obviously, by pressing and hold this button on the lower right section, you could turn on and off the flash alert setting, which could be used in the alarm and the countdown timer mode. Pressing the mode button once could enter the alarm, just a single alarm with signal, but you do have specific date set up for daily, monthly alarm setting. Next, you'll have a countdown timer, which I already set up to 1 second only. Pressing start right away, the watch will end it and repeat itself over and over again, because I turn on the auto repeat as well. And since I turn on the flash setting, each time the alarm is off, it's beeping, it will flash the lights at the same time. Stop this. Moving on to the next mode, which is the last one, a stopwatch, a chronograph feature to 24-hour range with tap dipping on top, and split time feature as being stated on top here. So you can use it however you like, and to stop this, stop and reset it back. Now we're done. Back to home timekeeping, and if you want to set up the watch, just press adjust and you could set up all the things in here, including 12 or 24-hour time format. This watch came in negative display, same as the other two variants, which is not as good. I have to be honest that it is still the same negative display uses on the cheap DW6900. So if you aren't a fan of that, if you find that that one aren't for you, then this watch won't be for you as well, because it uses the same negative display. But there's an upside to that. If you dare enough, you could change the display to a positive version, because it uses a standard movement, which means parts are readily available anywhere out there. You could just buy a positive display or just customize it on your own and change the display to positive, and you don't have to face that issues anymore if you're willing to do it. And that brings me to the next point. These watches are purely made for fashion. I have to say that even though it is a better watch, I wouldn't recommend you to do it at all. For me personally, I think this is more like a fashion timepiece, something that you take care of, something that is collectibles, just in my opinion, especially the black and red colorway. Next, the screws. The screws on the side are different as well in comparison to the regular model. It uses these Phillips head screws, which in my opinion, it makes the watch looks much more sleeker, with just cleaner overall. And next is the watch band. Again, even though it is just resin material like most watch band on the market, I have to say, because it is in gloss, it looks good. And now they give us a quick release lever type watch band as well, something that they've never done before on the DW6900, and that's new. I'm sure you could buy one today, but we received this out of the box and that is great. Though I have to note that they didn't give us the springboard removal tool that like they used to, so there's something to take note of. And one thing that I noticed, small little details, is the watch band keeper. Usually they have a slots at the bottom and 2 holes on top. Now they didn't have that anymore, so I have to say this is new. They didn't just repurpose all the parts, and that's great. The buckle is fully gloss finished with calcium Thailand. The back cover is brush finish, of course, as usual, and I have to say the overall piece is fully made in Thailand. So if you're okay with that, then you're good to go. And that's what summarizes all the things that you should know about this GM-6900 series G-Shock metal covered watch.